My name is Hanifa Adan Safia. Journalist, I think I forgot, I'm actually a journalist in profession, an active citizen, a human rights defender. I mostly advocate for women and children and people from the marginalized community. This punitive bill that had proposals that was going to finish us all as a country, it hit every nerves. From agriculture, from hospitals, from the basic commodities. They were going to task basic commodities. Cancer patients were going to be affected. Diapers, pads, so everything. People began educating each other on TikToks, on Twitter. People were saying, hey guys, come and look at this bill. Look at what these people are trying to do. So I was just scrolling on Twitter and I saw a group. I was already allowed, woman, I'd say, I was already into the activism field, but I guess it blew up with the GenZ. So I went into the group and Kenyans were sharing their representatives' number, their area MP, their area representative, we call them the MPs, yes. So I started taking the numbers one by one, posting them online and telling them, look, find your area MP and tell them to reject the bill, reject the finance bill 2024. And that is what people started doing. So everyone shared screenshot of how they are performing their civic duty, telling their area MPs, represent my interest. This bill is not in my interest. So what you're going to do is reject it. So as usual, with African leaders, most of them, they did not listen. I love how in the beginning they were all dismissing us. We were just some stupid kids doing TikToks, you know, going to protests with iPhone, living with Ubers and eating KFCs. So to them we're just, you know, some stupid kids just doing things for trends until they started feeling the heat. So posters started going around. I was the one in charge during the first day I was giving out T-shirts, everything. Let me tell you, we were very innocent. I, for instance, was very innocent, very green. It was my first protest. I will not lie, we were very, very naive. So for 90% of us, it was our first protest. And like other movements and struggles, ours didn't come with the structures or organizing. No one knew anything, no one planned, no one funded anything. We just said, no. The simmering angers of years from oppression, inequality, corruption is what made us storm there, looking at nothing else, knowing what was going to happen next. I did not anticipate what was going to happen next. So on June 20th, 2024, when we went to the streets, so we were so innocent. So I just told people, hey guys, let's meet at this particular place in the CBD. And the police were there. So when I came with the Uber, of course, the police came at me very aggressively. He insulted me. He took my T-shirt. So there's that video. So we were just going back and forth, and then he took away my T-shirts. I felt so hopeless. I was so agitated because I wanted to go out there, distribute T-shirts, and for us to exercise our rights and tell these people to reject the bill. So I got my manhandled and taken to the cell. First time being arrested. I was just praying my dad doesn't find out. So this is a Muslim woman wearing trousers and running on the streets and got arrested. I was quite hopeless. I felt quite hopeless in the cell. But minutes later, I was just hearing the siren. People were being brought in the cell. They were arresting people. So they arrested over 300 people that day. 300 people. I was in the cell with 19-year-olds. I was in the cell with 20-year-olds. These women, these girls. So it was the beginning of something so beautiful, something never seen in the history of our country. So after us some online appro. I was released with the hashtag Free Hanifa. So that was the beginning of our digital activism. We leveraged on social media for this particular movement of ours. It relied and performed on the digital activism. So I was released, but I waited until 10 p.m. when everyone else was released. That was the beginning of solidarity for each and every one of us. So we learned. No one taught us. Let me tell you, no one taught us anything at all. Everything was just fresh. The solidarity, the love, the support. So that was the first protest, June 20th. So it came to the next protest. It was huge. It's still not the biggest one of all. We're going to talk about June 25th. It's a special day for us. So the next protest, people showed up in thousands. I was just in the streets looking at this side, the other side. Kids, just, I'm not going to say kids, but yeah, this is not the usual. Even the journalists, everywhere they go, they just talk about, we were not expecting this certain demographic. The protests in our country used to have the same faces. You know, the politician would just sit and call people from certain areas to come and protest, but that, ours was magnificent. Ours was a redefined Kenya protest and movement. So that was when it began. So they sat down and said, oh, so they are not just kids eating KFC and doing TikToks. That is when it hit them. And that is when, unfortunately, the state-sanctioned brutality began. So they killed our first comrade called 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗂𝗁. He was shot, and his case is actually in court, and an inquest, and he's actually lying in court that he was not on the streets on that day. And I went online and said, listen, you guys, this killer cop is saying he wasn't on the streets on this particular day, so please, let us all gather all the evidence here that he was on the streets. The videos are there, photos, everything to prove that this killer cop was on the streets. So they cannot in any way win this digital war against us. The second comrade was killed too. He's called Evans, and that is something I want to introduce now. Our good brother had asked how we can move from this whole funding thing and depending on the West or for donors. And I would like to say one of the best things to come out of the GenZ movement was the Harambee spirit we had experienced. So yes, we can do this ourselves, and I'll be speaking on it on how, because it's something personal for me. The first fundraise I put out for our two comrades, 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗁 and Evans, target was 3 million Kenyan shillings. No, it was 2 million Kenyan shillings, 1 million for each family. The solidarity. Like I said, we left no one behind, not in hospitals, not in morgues, not anywhere. It took a lot, but yes. So we fundraised, I put out the link and we fundraised 3 million, each distributed equally to the family, and that was before we knew how many people they were going to kill. Honestly, no one saw what was going to happen in the blood that began. So after I sent the money to the two families and accounted for it online. So for us, everything was public. Everything about the movement was public. There was no shadows behind us or shadow planning things on, not that I know of, but for me, everything was public. Anything I'd do, I'd just go online and say, and then decide there. Of course, it looks immature, but there's no other way we do things. We went in leaderless, tribeless, partyless. We just in there. So the second, after, let me talk about June 25th, a historic day for us. I remember getting goosebumps when I mentioned June 25th. the day the youths of Kenya realized their power and took it. So we have this kind of power. It was so amazing to discover that, wow. So after being helpless and always, we were just used to complaining online and say, running hashtag and saying, this minister has done this today, they're stealing that. It was so amazing to put, action. It was amazing to put action to such a beautiful, the agonizing voices for years. So on June 25th was when we stormed Parliament. So the entire movement had a hashtag called Occupy Parliament. So we occupied Parliament on June 25th. Youths were being shot at, but the police were the ones running away because they were coming into Parliament. So we stormed Parliament. Unfortunately, it was also such a sad day because they killed, they maimed, tortured, and abducted a lot of people that day. So the cases were 70 plus. I handled each case, so I know just how much. Sorry, I'll talk about 𝗕𝗏𝗃𝗃. Sorry. I was talking about the Harambee spirit. So for our comrades who are in hospital across the country and those who had lost their lives, we were trying to make sure those who had died were getting befitting burials and those who are in the hospital did not suffer. We fundraised over 31 million Kenyan shillings. No, I did not anticipate for that. My target was, the target that was there in the beginning was 10 million Kenyan shillings. So in 4 hours, we fundraised 14 million. And it was shocking. I was in awe. It was quite shocking, but I was amazed. I was genuinely so amazed. The legal, the medical, and all sorts of solidarity we had. It was so beautiful to watch. Shout out to 𝗕𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗁, our legal team back in Kenya, and the Defenders Coalition, of course, and everyone that came together that day. So we fundraised 31 million. I'm sorry, I'm running out of time. We fundraised 31 million Kenyan shillings, paid the hospital bills for everyone who was injured, shot, in the hospitals across the country, and we buried all our comrades, and we facilitated the burials as well. So that is the Harambee spirit we can bring in, I think, in movements. This funding and donor things is quite getting out of hand. Of course, it's important, it's crucial, but we can really do this. That is what it taught me. The Harambee spirit, because 31, no one was going to come in and hand us money to take care of those who were injured or who had died. We were all we had. We are all we have. So thank you so much. I'm trying.